Hi students, today we'll be studying evolution. So, origin of life, where did the life begin from? Stellar distances are measured in light years. The universe is very old, almost 20 billion years old. So, the Big Bang theory attempts to explain the use of the origin of universe. A singular huge explosion, unimaginable in physical term, the universe expanded and hence the temperature came down. Hydrogen and helium formed sometime later. The gases condensed under gravitation and formed the galaxies of the present day universe. In the solar system of Milky Way galaxy, Earth was supposed to have been formed about 4.5 billion years ago. So this is what the Big Bang theory explains. So now the Pasteur experiment. Careful experimentation demonstrated that life comes only from pre-existing life. He showed that in pre-sterilized flasks, life did not come from killed yeast, while in other flasks open to the air, new organisms arose from the killed yeast. This disproved the theory of spontaneous generation. Then later on, Operin Haldane theory suggested that the first life form comes from the pre-existing non-living organic molecules, that is RNA and protein. Then there was another experiment conducted by Urey and Miller. The conditions on Earth were having high temperature, volcanic storms, reducing atmosphere containing CH4, NH3, etc. In 1953, S.L. Miller, an American scientist, created similar conditions in a laboratory scale. He created electric discharge in a closed flask to raise temperature up to 800 centigrades, 8,000 centigrades, as it was in primitive Earth. Used CH4, H2, NH3 and water vapor inside the flask. He observed that there was a formation of amino acids in it. So how the evolution of life forms occurred, that's a theory. Conventional religious literature tells us about the theory of special creation. The theory of special creation has three connotations. That is, all life, all living organisms that we see today were created as such. The diversity was always the same since creation and will be same in future. Earth is about 4,000 years old. So there was a challenge to the special creation theory, that is, that Alfred Wallace, a natural scientist who worked in Malay archipelago, had also come to similar conclusions around the same time. Any population has built-in variations in characteristics. These are those characteristics which enable some to survive better in natural conditions, would outbreed others that are less endowed to survive under natural conditions. Survival of the fittest and natural selection are the main theories. So divergent evolution. What is divergent evolution? While whale, bat, cheetah and humans share similarities in the pattern of bones of forelimbs. So those forelimbs perform different functions in these animals. They have similar anatomical structure. All of them have humerus, radius, ulna, carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges in their forelimbs. Hence, in these animals, the same structure developed along different directions due to the adaptation to different needs. This is divergent evolution. And then these structures are homologous, that is, alike. Homology indicates common ancestry. Other examples are heart and brains of vertebrates. Now, convergent evolution. Wings of butterfly and birds are look-alike. They are anatomically similar structure. They have anatomically similar structure, though they perform similar functions. Hence, analogous structures are a result of convergent evolution. Eye of octopus and eye of mammal. Flipper of penguin and dolphin. Sweet potato is a root modification and potato is a stem modification. So all of them are examples of convergent evolution. Now this is the example of divergent evolution depicted here, and on the right hand side here is the convergent evolution. So if you see, there are usages like mentioned, and here the structure is shown quite clearly. So now the biochemical evidence for explaining the survival and the evolution as well. Embryological support for evolution. It was proposed by Ernst Haeckel based upon observation of certain features during embryonic stage common to all vertebrates that are absent in adults. The embryos of all vertebrates, including human, develops a row of vestigial gill slits just behind the head, but it is functional organ only in fish and not found in any other adult vertebrates. This theory is disproved on careful investigation performed by Carl Ernst Wenberg He noted that the embryos never passed through the adult stages of other animals. Evolution by natural selection and anthropogenic action. So, evolution by natural selection is based on the observation of moth population, and in England, made in 1850. Before industrialization set in, it was observed that there were more white-winged moth on trees than dark-winged or melanized moth. So, after industrialization, that is in 1920, there were more dark-winged moth in the same area. That is, the proportion where it was reversed. Then evolution of anthropogenic action means that there was excess use of herbicides, pesticides, and other things, and which just only resulted in selection of resistant varieties in much lesser time scale. This is also true for microbes against which we employ antibiotics or drugs against eukaryotic organisms or cell. Hence, resistance organism cells are appearing in a time scale of months or years and not in centuries. These are the examples of evolution by anthropogenic action. Evolution is a stochastic process based on chance events in nature and chance mutation in the organisms. What is adaptive radiation now? Darwin finches, the most famous man. In Galapagos Islands, Darwin observed small black birds, later called Darwin's finches. He realized that there were many varieties in finches in the same island. All varieties he came across evolved on the island itself, from the original seed-eating features. Many other forms with altered beaks arose, enabling them to become insectivorous and vegetarian finches. This process of evolution, different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point literally radiating to other areas of geography, habitats, is called adaptive radiation. So then there were Australian marsupials involved in it. Australian marsupials is a number of marsupials, each different from other, evolved from an ancestral stock, but all within the Australian Indian continent. When more than one adaptive radiation appeared to have occurred in an isolated geographical area, called as convergent evolution. Placental animals in Australia also exhibit adaptive radiation in evolving into the varieties of such placental animals, each of which appears to be similar in corresponding marsupial. Biological evolution. The essence of Darwinian theory about evolution is natural selection. The rate of appearance of new forms is linked to the life cycle or the lifespan. Branching descent and natural selection are two key concepts of Darwinian theory of evolution. Mechanism of evolution now. In the first decade of the 20th century, Hugo de Vries, based on his work on evening primrose, brought the fourth idea of mutation. Mutation is the large difference arising suddenly in population. Mutations cause evolution and not the minor variation that Darwin talked about. Mutations are random and directionless, while Darwinian variations are small and directional. Evolution for Darwin was gradual, while de Vries believed mutation caused speciation and hence called it saltation, single-step large mutation. Hardy-Weinberg principle. In a given population, one can find out the frequency of occurrence of alleles of a gene on locus. The frequency is supposed to remain fixed and even remain the same through generations. Hardy-Weinberg principle states that allele frequencies in a population are stable and is constant from generation to generation. The gene pool, that is known as the total genes and their alleles in a population, remain constant. This is called as genetic equilibrium. Sum total of all the allelic frequencies is 1. The equation would be this one. When frequency measured differs from expected values, the difference indicates that the extent of evolutionary change. Disturbances in genetic equilibrium or change of frequency of alleles in a population would then be interrupted, as resulting in evolution. These are certain factors which affect Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium: genetic migration, genetic drift, mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. So genetic migration would be defined as when migrations of a section of population to another place. gene frequencies change in original as well as in other new population. New genes, alleles, are added to the new population and these are lost from the old population. Then gene flow. Gene flow would mean gene migration occurs many times, is termed as gene flow. So these both are interlinked. So now genetic drift. Genetic drift is defined as the change in gene frequency taking place by chance. Then there is mutation. Then there is mutation, genetic recombination, and natural selection. So one of the most important factors which also is important to study apart from this is founder's effect. Founder effect. Sometimes the change in allelic frequency is also so different in the new sample of population that they become a different species altogether. The original drifted population becomes founder species and the effect is called as founder effect. I hope students you understood the lesson well, and if you have any doubts you can please comment below and follow me for further videos.